Kia ora whānau, and welcome to another episode of Get a Job and Get Healthy with Costas Enterprises. Today's episode, I am going to talk about Redbubble. Basically, I'm going to talk about some little tips and tricks that I've picked up over the last couple of days. The motivation that I've had as well over the last couple of weeks. And also, most importantly, I'm going to talk about how my shop was featured in a YouTube video. Now, first off, I wanted to say, last week I told you about hitting over 500 plays and just being completely shocked by that. I think at the time I recorded the episode, I was sitting at about 512. And then I said as a joke, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if I get to 520? You guys are amazing. I just had a look and I have had 552 listens, which just is so amazing to me. Like, to go that quickly was just completely shocking to me. I am in awe of everyone here that listens. I mean, yeah, I am really, really taken aback by it. But on to the matter at hand. What I want to talk about first is, and for those that don't know, I am Alex Costas. I am the director of Costas Enterprises. I have a Redbubble shop, a Teespring shop, Threadless shop, a website, this podcast. Feel free to head along to my website, costasenterprises.business.blog. Of course, HTTPS or www, in order to get into that. And so motivation. The reason why I'm talking about motivation first is just for the simple tips of, at the start of this year, which we're still really, really early into. We're only sort of a couple of days into it, 14 days into it. In that first week, I was not working for my government job. I managed to have a bit of a break for the holidays. And during that time, sort of I consumed as much as I could from people like Ryan and, Shimmy and all those sort of YouTube stars that I follow and watch. And I just recently found a new guy, and I am just bringing up his YouTube channel now so I can give him a shout out because he's truly amazing. He's just a genuinely good bloke. You can tell he really, really loves what he's doing. He's giving guides on Redbubble, and he's the one that actually did my YouTube. So of course everyone knows Ryan Hogue. He's the big boss in all of this stuff. I've also learned a couple of tips off Alexandra Strambu, who she's really, really helping me with some of the little things that I thought I knew, but I didn't know. But as for the new guy, it is TheMoneyGame. So if you go to his YouTube, go to TheMoneyGame, you'll see on there he does talk a lot about Redbubble and the things that he's been doing. So yeah, it's been really, really cool to sort of consume what he does. And sort of last week during the motivation, he is big on motivation. He keeps talking about motivation, and it got me thinking, you know what, I put a whole lot of photos up on my Redbubble store to be sold as sort of prints, or magnets or coasters or stickers, and basically things like my trips around New Zealand, Wellington, Queenstown, times in Gisborne. And I decided to put those photos up because I thought, you know what, they look pretty cool as, either a poster or a print or a coaster. And because of his motivation, the money game, because of his way that he was talking, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to count these photos as part of the designs that I want to hit. I want to hit 100 designs by such and such a date, which was, coincidentally last week. And so by sitting there, I was going, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to meet these things? Now, I will be very, very clear. I am primarily focusing just on Redbubble, okay? I've found couple of problems with Teespring, and it's just not going the way I want it to, basically. So I decided I'm going to focus a bit more on Redbubble, try to make it better and work for what I want it to. So with these 19 photos that I sort of uploaded, and I do plan to upload a whole lot more, I was sort of looking at it and going, I don't want to include those. I want to create my own new designs. Now, it did help that I actually had an idea for a potential evergreen t-shirt design, which could effectively be used on other products. So I decided to create a template in my Canva of the basics of what it is. I'll tell you right now, I'll be completely open and transparent about it, and hopefully you don't take my idea, but if you tweak it to your own, then that's completely fine. But effectively what I did was I created a template for when I grow up I want to be, and then I had it in sort of the writing of not really a child, but what we used to get asked as when we were kids. So what I was then doing is underneath that, where the line is, where you usually what you write, you would put the thing you want to grow up to be. So I ended up making about 25. I actually made it about 32, but some were taken down by Redbubble. And so I just basically went on this big mess thing through my head, like, okay, what do I want? What did I want to be when I grew up? And I started taking inspiration for things like, some of my other previous designs, like Plant Mama and Plant Daddy. I said, when I grow up, I want to be that, so that I can generate things there. I want to be a mum. I want to be a DJ. I want to be a rap star. I want to be, I want to be Insta famous. I want to be a podcaster. And so I created designs based on that and tried to incorporate it as best as I could, and basically make it a bit, make it its own collection. Now, the first thing I did with this collection was, because I knew that I was targeting it as an actual t-shirt design, I did one thing that I learnt from all of these guys, is I started to optimize my design so that they would appear on t-shirts and not everything else in the first instance, and then people can check what they look like on other products when they click within the design and go, what other products is it on? So after I got the motivation, I originally was going to do sort of 20 designs and had about 32 total, and that's just the starting. I do plan to do more in the future and just keep uploading to it, because it's a pretty easy design to create, and with the tools that we have with Canva, it was quite easy to make the designs look quite cool. Now, I'm going to be completely open and honest. I did try my hand, and I didn't use copyrighted images, but I did use copyrighted phrases. So because of that, Redbubble did find them and say, hey, look, this is too close to this, we're taking your design down. And you kind of get a bit of a warning, and it basically says, don't upload the design again. If you do, you risk bringing your thing down. Now, admittedly, I did put the tags of things like, for one of them I had, when I grow up I want to be a secret agent, and I had like the Bond. It wasn't the actual Bond symbol, but it was very similar to the Bond symbol, so I understand why they pulled it. And you know what, it's gutting, because I really liked that particular design. That was probably my favorite out of all of the designs, because when you grow up you do want to be a secret agent. But given that they did pull it down, I was like, you know what, that's fair. I'm not going to re-upload it, because I don't really want to lose my shop because I like one design. And you can take out all the tags and all that sort of things, but if they pick up again and they do a review, then the last thing you want is everything to be taken out. So there were some things like, another one I had was, when I grow up I want to be a Jedi Master, and I had a lightsaber, and that was, the lightsaber was actually the line of what it is, so the Jedi Master was the actual, the same sort of glow as the lightsaber, a blue sort of glow. And so, yeah, I decided to take them, when they said we're going to remove these designs, I was like, okay, I'm not going to re-upload those particular designs. But, I managed to get away with some of the ones that I did want to keep up there, which was pretty cool. But then, yeah, keeping the design up there and going, okay, cool. I'm really, really happy that this managed to to motivate me to create more designs, to keep them out there. And I'm actually looking at them right now, and I'm really, really happy with how they came out. What I did do for the first time is I usually create my designs with a black lettering, not so much white lettering, but this time I did white lettering. Of course, that means when you turn it into a transparent PNG, what actually happens is the white disappears. So you can't really put them on every single thing. Because, if you try to put it on a white, on a sticker, it won't actually pick up the, when I grow up, I want to be. So the other parts were coming up, but not that particular part. That was the whole point of the actual design. So all in all, I spent about 2 days making the designs. I blitzed through about 18 of them pretty quickly, but had all the ideas. Because the one thing I did this time was, when I had this initial idea, I started writing down while I was driving, while I was, I'd pull over to the side and I'd go, hey, that's a cool idea, I should put that. Hey, that's a cool idea, I should put that. Hey, that's cool. And so I started writing them down in my notes, the same note pad that I use on my phone when I paste my episode ideas. So, yeah, I thought I'm going to try and semi-plan for this, and then while I was writing, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to do this, and this with it. And yeah, it was quite motivational to go back and look at them and go, right, what did I originally have? What can I use with Canva? How do I change this? How do I make this the way I want it to be? And yeah, it took a long time, and it took even longer to actually upload them. The one thing I didn't know with Canva that you can do is, if you create a new page in Canva, you can basically create a duplicate of the page. So my first image is actually the when I grow up I want to be, and then I would hit duplicate, and it would duplicate that part on the whole page with a black background. Now, it turns out I didn't need a black background, but in order for me to see what I was doing properly, because I was using white writing, it's always better to put a black background, because I want to see what it's going to look like on the actual t-shirt for the most part. So yeah, because of that, the motivation was sort of going pretty high, and I created a couple more designs, updated a couple more. So overall, in the last sort of 2 weeks, I've gone from having about close to 50 designs to bumping it up to 129 designs now. So again, as I said, I don't count the 19, so I'm sitting at about 111 or 109 designs, individual designs that are still there. Now, that would be, of course, a little bit higher, but Redbubble took some down, which I'm completely fine with, as I said. So I want to stress to you all, keep going, keep doing, and hopefully after I tell you these little tips and tricks, it'll actually motivate you more, because I know for some people they find the whole upload process quite long, quite hard. If you're in the mindset that I have been with this particular collection, and also going forward as well, one of the things I did do was, when you click upload a new design or add new artwork, add new work, there are two options. The first option is upload a design, which is the way that I usually do it. So I would upload everything individually. This time, with these particular designs, I decided, because I'd watched some of these videos, I thought I'll try and do what they're talking about. So one of the things that they were talking about was, if you click the right hand side, it takes you to the manage collections, and then if you get to the manage collections, that is all of your manage portfolio. So that is all of your designs, everything you've got. And then they say you click the cog, and then under the cog, a little thing, a drop down box pops up, and there's a part called copy settings. You click copy settings, and then what happens is a copy of that particular design that you've got opens up as if it's a new artwork. And then all you have to do is replace the image, and then, change the tags, change the title, the same stuff you would do normally. But because you've gone copy design, it will actually repeat exactly what it has, and everything that you've done in the design that you copied. So, for example, if you've set a background color, which is one thing that I did do on this particular instance, is I actually, just under the design where you replace the design, I click the little hex and then a couple of hashtags, and I selected the blackest of blacks that you can get, which I believe is the hashtag code is like 00000, I believe. So it made 90% of all of my products with a black background, which helps, of course, when you're doing it with white writing. The only two ones that I couldn't do were the first two designs. So, first tip is, of course, do the copy settings for one that you've already created, where you've placed it perfectly. So you've got to make sure that the one you're copying is actually, everything that you want to be selected is actually selected. So if it's kids t-shirts haven't been selected, make sure you're clicking the one where you go kids t-shirts. And I'll talk about that in a minute as well, because that's something that I didn't know that you could do, that Redbubble hides from you. But if you go to the copy settings, it will copy everything that you've done. So if your design is sort of centered in the middle of a clock, and it is centered on the cup, but you've clicked the wrong image, it will copy all of that stuff. So you've got to make sure that the one that the design that you're doing is perfect. Now, I would strongly suggest, if you haven't done that before, then with your next uploaded design, that is what you do. You make it as if you want, how you want it to appear on everything. And then for the next particular design that you upload, you try the copy settings. Now, that will only work with a design with similarity of what it is that you're actually trying to upload. So if you've got one where, it's maybe you're uploading a design which isn't to do with the same sort of collection, maybe it's a completely random design, it will still copy the settings that you've got. So if you've got something with black edging, and you try to put it on a black t-shirt because you've selected black with the previous design that you tried to copy, then of course part of your design will go missing. Now, you can change that, of course, like it's not like it's automatically set, but by default they give you the options of what you previously had. So that's tip number one, is try using the copy settings, because it will actually speed up your uploads quite a bit. I managed to upload my 30 odd designs. I did it in roughly about 4 hours, being completely honest. Even doing it the copy settings way, because I'm a bit anal retentive, I was taking a long time going through each design, making sure it was perfectly centered, making sure it worked on everything that I was picking. And then I tried the copy settings one. So it was taking me about 15 minutes per design to upload, make sure it looks good. And then I tried the copy settings, and then I started uploading them within about 5 minutes after tags. Now, 15 minutes, of course, included tags and all that sort of stuff as well. But tags is a separate beast. So copy settings is one thing. Now, the next tip, as I said, if your design needs to be or looks better on a specific background color, set that color at the start. Okay, now it has been proven that black t-shirts with your design will sell quite well usually. However, if you're doing a design where maybe you've got an orange background, it may not work as well as it should. It will look good on orange and black, because of course orange and black is, the Goku colors, which always looks cool. But at the same time, make sure that you're checking everything when you are doing it. Now, the first two boxes, when you do select the black, will not appear black. Okay, you have to go individually into them, and that the very, very first box, which is usually the by default, it's the classic, it's the standard clothing, I believe it's called. Tip number 3. When you click into that particular design, do make sure you change it. Okay, change it to whatever color you need it to go to. And then if you look in the actual box of where you can select the colors, you'll see at the top left hand corner of that box there are 2 little buttons. Now, if you click the second button, because by default you're in the first button or the first tab, if you click the second button, you will then get some more options for you to sell your designs on. Now, this was a huge one, and this is one of the tips that I picked up from TheMoneyGame, because I didn't know about it before. And he was like, here's some hidden tips. And I was like, what the hell is this? And so it's things like kids t-shirts, kids clothing, and kids hoodies. By default, Redbubble does not sell your design on these particular products. You have to individually tick them. Okay, so once you've ticked those 3 boxes, next time you go copy settings, all of your designs will be on those particular things. Now, of course, if you are doing designs that are slightly offensive or are of adult nature, of course, keep them unclicked. Like, it just makes sense. Otherwise, Redbubble will take your site down, or take that particular design down, depending on how many designs you've got up as well. So that was tip number 3. Make sure you enable all products, okay, within the t-shirt things. Now, also on tip number 3, you can also try to enable all products on every single product. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is sometimes the sizing can be a bit, well, I'll be honest, pretty crap. And this is where Teespring was a little bit better, because Teespring, it was a lot easier to make the design fit what it is that you wanted. However, Redbubble does have a cool little feature, which if you don't know, not in the first 2 boxes, but in every other box, you can make your design either tiled by oh my god, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Effectively, what you can do is you can have your design so it's straight in rows, or it can be offset. So you can select offset and then sort of drag the zoom back so your design is quite small, and it will make the design appear as a pattern. So this is really good for those designs where they just don't fit the t-shirt right, or maybe you're doing a square design and it just doesn't look good on the particular t-shirt. Try not removing it, but lowering the actual size of the actual image, and then clicking either offset, or I believe the other one, I can't remember what the other option is, but there's 2 options there. Now, on some of the Redbubble tabs that pop up, this is all on the first tab, as opposed to the second tab, which I was telling you about. Also on the second tab, just before I forget, it is where you can also set the markup of actual t-shirts for that particular price. I am not sure if that means it's only for that design, or if it applies it across all of your other ones as well. There are other places where you can do that, and I will talk about that a little bit later as well. So the next sort of tip, and this is, as I said, this is all just startup stuff. So this is stuff that you should be doing each time you load a design. Make sure these are enabled so that they're, you're maximizing exactly the amount of sales that you can get. Make sure your design is in the right place. Change the sizing. Spend a bit of time doing what it is that you need to do to make it look good on the thing that you want it to sell. Now, when you scroll to the bottom, once you've finished doing all your designs, you've made them the way that you want them, and they're exactly where they need to be. At the very bottom, there's a couple of options. One's like drawing, and you can actually set what the design is. Is it a digital drawing? Is it digital art? Is it, a photograph? Whatever. You can click those. But the part I want to get to is right underneath. There is one little line, which is a drop-down box. And usually it's by default, it'll say optimized. And what that is, it took me so long to know about this because I didn't click that it was in this particular space. But this is where you set the actual, what you want the design to appear on when people are looking at your shop. So, if you are dealing in primarily like masks, for example, then you would want to make sure that drop-down box is always set as mask. For me, I set it as a little bit of everything. Sometimes, because I put my product on quite a few different mediums, sometimes I've put it as acrylic block, but with this particular collection that I was doing, the When I Grow Up one, I set them all as t-shirt, because that's how I wanted people to wear them, as a t-shirt or as a hoodie, for example. and you can select that, and with those copy settings it will remember that setting. So that's where the speeding up comes up quite a bit, because you don't have to set it every time once you've got a collection. So if you've got sort of, with me for example, with my photos, I could set them all as coasters, because I want to sell them as coasters for example. Then they would all be set as coasters in that particular instance. Okay, tip number 5. Go back to the top of your design, the very, very top. You can probably do this first if you're listening to this. It's only because I just remembered about it. One of the things I picked up from the Alexandra videos, which shook me because I was like, oh my god, why was I not doing this beforehand? In your tags of every single design, put the name of your shop. That way, someone can click or search for your tag, and they will get all of your designs at once. So in the tags, so for example, for me, I've put my tags as Costas Enterprises Designs, because that's the name of my shop. So now if you click one of my designs and you click that particular tag, all of my designs will appear at once. Really, really handy little thing to do. The next thing to do within that same sort of vein is, in the description, put a little tag for more of my designs, visit my shop, and then put a copy of the shop link into the image. People can copy and paste it if they want, but it's basically a little bit of self-advertising. Now granted, yes, you may think, but hang on, they're already on your shop. They may not be on your shop. They may only be on one particular product. And if they see that they're on that product and they go, oh, what's Costas Enterprise Designs? Click that, and then they get taken to all of my designs. Alternatively, they can then go, oh, I want to go to a shop. What's his shop look like? And check out his shop, or her shop, whoever's doing this shop. So yeah, really, really cool little tips. Then click save your work. Make sure you check it. When you are ready to upload and you've gone save your work, it will actually take you to the option to go manage portfolio. Now, what I did find myself is, just recently when I basically went through, over the last couple of days, I've gone through every single one of my designs, my 130 odd designs, and I have actually changed each and every one. So I now have tags of Costas Enterprise Designs and a link to my shop. But I also at the same time went through and optimized all of my designs. So if it needs to be on a t-shirt, I made it on a t-shirt. If it needs to be on an acrylic block, I made it an acrylic block. If it needs to be on a clock face, I made it on a clock face. Just so that I can show off a bit more exactly what it is that I'm trying to do. One of the other things that I've heard, which I'm going to try and do shortly, is at the moment my shop is called Costas Enterprise Designs, but the actual tag name is Costas Designs, which is not what I actually want it to be. I want it to be Costas Enterprise Designs. So there is actually a way for you to show your nickname, and usually you can't change the name of your shop, but if you go show nickname, it will change the actual it will change your actually shop. So that's quite a cool little thing, I think, and I'm going to try that now and see if I can sort of figure it out. But yeah, it's quite I thought it was quite a cool little feature, so that your design will actually be called, the name that you actually want it to be. But yeah, happy little tips and tricks. As for the YouTube video, so the guy that I was telling about, TheMoneyGame, when you search for his thing, he does Redbubble shop reviews, and he actually, about a week ago, I followed his Instagram, and I followed his YouTube and all that sort of stuff, and one of the things he goes, put your shop in here and I'll review it. And I got quite the shock when the very first shop he actually reviews is actually my shop. So I was very, very shocked. Now, I have put a link to that here. It is an hour long, so I'm not going to, I don't expect you to wait a long time. And about a minute 48 into the actual video, or a minute 40, he actually shows my shop. So if you want to see what my actual Redbubble shop looks like, you can go to the YouTube video, click it, and you will actually see it. You'll see my designs. And the actual name of the video, I'm sorry, I'm just loading it now. It is The Perfect Redbubble Shop, and then in parentheses, live stream, Redbubble Shop Reviews number 21. So yeah, as I said, I was very, very shocked and surprised. It's about an hour and 5 minutes, and he does actually have tags and all sorts of things. You'll see my comment on there. I've got a comment on there. It's had about 1,000 views. I would strongly suggest, if you are doing print on demand, you should be watching these sorts of things, especially with Redbubble, with Teespring, even Threadless. You have a slight amount of opportunity to actually update your shops so that they look a bit more professional. Right straight off the bat, he did actually give props to my banner, saying it was really good. Then later on, when he was reviewing other shops, he actually said there were better banners and stuff that he saw, which he actually referenced two of them. But it does show you that at first glance, he was like, wow, this is actually quite a cool shop. He does talk about spamming. Now, for those that don't know, spamming tags is something that is unfortunately going at the moment through Redbubble, which is, it sucks quite a bit actually. But what it is some people are actually putting the name of something like 100 times in one tag. It's really, really a shame. It's really stupid. But it is what it is. And this is the first guy that I saw that was doing a big advocate for that, for the actual Redbubble to reply and to look at all of the spamming things that they are doing. But yeah, feel free to go watch the Money Game. Check out his videos, especially if you are into Redbubble and you are into print on demand and you do want to actually learn a bit more. He has been pretty helpful with some of his tips. He's quite motivational. Also check out Ryan Hogue, Houge. He mainly does things on merch by Amazon, but he has dabbled in everything. He's dabbled in Redbubble, he's dabbled in merch by Amazon, Teespring, Etsy, all of those sorts of things. Another one to watch is Wholesale Ted. She is actually a Kiwi, and she was one of the first ones that I saw that talked about Redbubble. I like her to a degree. Sometimes she does get a bit, I don't know, I find it hard to watch her sometimes, because sometimes she can be quite negative. And I know it's meant as feedback, but it's like complete negative the whole time, which I don't actually like that much. Like, try to find something good about the person's shop, even if it is shit. Like, you don't have to say it's shit. And the other one is, of course, Shimmy Morris, who's a British guy, as well as Phil. So Phil is from TheMoneyGame, and Shimmy's a good. He's a former artist as well, so he actually does a lot of design stuff. And yeah, he's pretty good. I learned a bit off him as well. I used to follow him a lot when he used to do a lot of Teespring stuff, but now he himself has turned around and said, look, I'm not going through Teespring again, they're useless. And I've sort of unfortunately found the same. Now, I know last week I did talk about the fact that I got a Facebook ad that I'm currently doing. It is currently still running, and it will be running for another couple of days, basically until next Wednesday. So I will give you a bit more idea of how that's going. I can tell you that this time I am actually doing it for my Redbubble and I am actually seeing more and more people visiting my website before I got featured in the actual in the other one. And the thing you got to remember as well is, even though I've got 21 people have favorited my things, I've got 5 followers now, which was shocking, and I've had about 10 sales. So I just recently did another sale of my Jacinda design, so I'm going to try and make some more designs to do with Jacinda. But in the last sort of couple of days, from social media, I have had 27 people click the link and go through to my actual site, which has been very shocking. 6 organics and 7 Redbubble ones, and 4 direct. Now, of course, the 4 direct, a couple of them were me, and one would, of course, be Phil from TheMoneyGame, because he went directly into that shop. So yeah, pretty cool. I've had 186 visitors so far, unique. But this month already, I've had about... So as of right now, I've had about 44, 42, which is shocking. The most I've ever had in 1 month has been just over 50, sort of 52, which was in November, when people will start looking for Christmas presents and stuff. But this is definitely my biggest impact of social media, because I am actually finding a lot of interest from this ad. Now, the difference between this ad and the other times I've done Facebook ads, this particular ad, I accidentally clicked the wrong type when you are actually starting off a video. Now, I originally tried to create this as a video, I ended up trying to click the make people go to your website through links, but I clicked the make people go to the message me. Now, no one has actually messaged me, which is probably pretty good, but it has definitely generated people going to my actual site. So I can only assume that that is because of the Facebook advertising that I'm doing. Now, my budget for that is $60 New Zealand, and yeah, I mean, to have 20 odd people go through just that way so far, and it's still got 27 people to go through just from social media, is pretty cool. I'm quite surprised by that, especially considering I look at this every day, and it's slowly been creeping up. So people are starting to find my shop, which is good. People are starting to favorite my shop, which is good. Now I just need people to buy from my shop, which would be even better. But yeah, overall, I'm doing quite well. Plant-based update, it is going quite well. We had meat today for the first time, so it was really, really lovely. But I've dropped about 3 kgs already in 2 weeks, which has been quite shocking. So yeah, everything's going really, really well. Thank you so much again for everyone listening. Like, yesterday I had 34 listens in one day. That blows my mind. Like, if you're listening now, I want to say thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. If you want to hear more, please email me, doncostas@gmail.com. That's DON for Nike, COSTAS@gmail.com. You can also follow me at the Kiwi Don, and it's TheKiwidon on Instagram. Find me on Facebook, Costas Enterprise Designs. Go to my website, costasenterprise.business. Yeah, I'm truly stunned at looking at the stats today and seeing it jump up to 550. Like, wow, 450 more listens, and I'm at 1,000 listens. And I've been doing this about 8 months, 9 months. That's shocking. But thank you. until next week, have a great week, people. Keep being motivated. Keep doing what you're doing. Feel free to contact me. Let me know what's going on. If you've got any ideas for what you want me to talk about, hit me up. Until next time, though, have a fantastic day. And I love you as always. And good luck.